Hello. Welcome to Chapter 9 of Dr. Carbles is Losing His Marbles. This chapter is titled How to Drive Grown-Ups Crazy. Well, that whole protest thing was a dumb idea. Luckily, none of us got killed. We'd have to think up another way to get rid of Dr. Carbles. Remember how we got rid of Miss Todd? Ryan said the next morning while we were putting our backpacks away. Miss Todd was a substitute teacher at our school. She tried to murder Miss Daisy and take her job, but we caught her. Miss Todd was. I don't know what that word is. Mad, maybe. Yeah, we drove her crazy, I said. Then we have to drive Dr. Carbles crazy, said Michael. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's driving grown-ups crazy. There are lots of ways to do that. One way is to say everything they say right after they say it. That's a good one. Sometimes I ask my parents why over and over again. It drives them nuts. But it was Neil, the nude kid, who had the greatest idea in the history of the world. We should steal Dr. Carbles' toupee, Neil said. Yeah, Dr. Klutz told us that if anybody ever found out Dr. Carbles was bald, it would drive him crazy. Neil's idea was genius. He should be in the gifted and talented program. The only problem was, how were we going to steal Dr. Carbles' toupee? We could sneak into his house in the middle of the night and rip it off his head, suggested Michael. Nah, Ryan said. He probably has an electric fence and a moat around his house. We could rent a giant wind machine and blow it off his head, suggested Michael. You can rent anything. Nah, Ryan said. It costs a lot of money to rent a giant wind machine. That's when I got the greatest idea in the history of the world. Hey, I said. Every day after lunch, Dr. Carbles stands outside and watches us march around the playground, right? Yeah, Michael said. So what? Well, he has a fishing pole in his office, I told the guys. We could hang the fishing pole out the second floor window and go fishing for toupee. You're a genius, Neil, the nude kid, told me. I should get the Nobel Prize. That's a prize they give out to people who don't have bells. During lunch, me and Neil snuck out of the vomitorium. We slinked around the halls like secret agents. Nobody was around. All the teachers must have been eating in the teacher's lounge. I opened the door to Dr. Carbles' office. It was empty. Perfect. I grabbed the fishing pole and we tore out of there. We ran up the steps to the second floor. I handed Neil the pole and opened a window. We peeked out. Dr. Carbles was right below us, standing there with his bullhorn. The kids were just starting to march out of the vomitorium. Left, right, Dr. Carbles yelled at the kids. March, you weasels! This is gonna be great. Neil giggled as he stuck the fishing pole out the window. He'll go crazy once we steal his toupee. Okay, I told Neil. Drop the hook now. Neil lowered the line until the hook was hanging right above Dr. Carbles' head. A little to the left, I told Neil. Lower. Neil was having a hard time hooking the toupee. My arms are getting tired, Neil said. I grabbed the pole. Neil helped me guide the hook. It was not easy. The hook kept blowing around. Any nibbles yet? Neil asked. Nope, but right after I said that, I felt a little pull on the line. Hey, I think I got it. I started reeling in the toupee, but there was just one problem. It wouldn't come off Dr. Carbles' head, so I pulled harder. It's a big one, I told Neil. It's a fighter. I kept tugging on the fishing pole, but the toupee just wouldn't budge. It must be glued on good, Neil said. Maybe they took hair off other parts of his body and planted it on his head, I said. I saw that on a TV commercial once. That's disgusting, said Neil. Suddenly, Dr. Carbles grabbed his toupee and looked up at us. "What's the meaning of this?" he shouted. Uh-oh. I dropped the pole. It fell out the window and almost hit Dr. Carbles on the head. "AJ, report to my office immediately," he hollered. "Oh," went all the kids on the playground. "That's it. My life was over. I would have to move to Antarctica and live with the penguins." Chapter 10. The Torture Room. When I got to Dr. Carbles' office, he told me to sit in the chair next to his desk. Then he just stared at me. He looked really mad. "Are you going to be frank?" I asked. He didn't say anything. He pulled down the shades to make the room dark. Then he turned on his desk lamp and pointed the light on me. "Who told you I wear a toupee, AJ?" asked Dr. Carbles. "Huh? Who told you?" I was pretty sure I had the right to remain silent. I saw that on a TV show once. Besides, I was too scared to say anything. "The teachers are plotting against me, aren't they?" Dr. Carbles said. "I don't trust them. I see the way they look at me. They hate me. Everybody hates me." I kept my mouth shut. If you don't say anything, you can't say anything dumb. Did Mr. Docker tell you about my toupee?" asked Dr. Carbles. "Or was it Miss Lazar? You could tell me, AJ." His face was right next to mine. His breath smelled like rotten eggs. I was shaking. I thought I was going to die. "Cat got your tongue, eh?" Dr. Carbles asked. "Well, I have ways to make you talk." "Oh, no! He was going to torture me." "Here, I want you to read this," said Dr. Carbles. "What is it?" I asked. "A book." "A book?" I exclaimed. "With words?" "That's right," Dr. Carble said. "Read it." "Reading is boring," I told him. "Read it!" he shouted. "Every word, cover to cover. Let's go. I don't have all day." Sweat was rolling down my face. "No, no!" I cried. "Not reading anything but that. Okay, I'll talk." "Smart boy," Dr. Carble said, taking the book away. "I knew you'd see it my way." "It was Mr. Klutz," I admitted. "I went over to his house. He told me about your toupee. He told me about the skateboarding team. He told me he called you Walrus Face. He told me everything." "Klutz, eh?" sneered Miss Dr. Carbles. "Klutz told you that? Oh, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him good. Nobody calls me Walrus Face and gets away with it." "Please don't tell Mr. Klutz I told you. I promised him I wouldn't tell. Please, Frank." "Get out of here!" Dr. Carbles hollered. "And stop calling me Frank or I'll get the summer reading list." I ran out of his office as fast as I could. All right, that's the end of this chapter. Bye.